Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. This is WireDogSec, back with another video for you guys. Today's video, we are continuing on with TryHackMe's Cybersecurity 101 learning path. This is the Cryptography module. Explore various symmetric and asymmetric encryption algorithms. Discover the usage of hashing algorithms in everyday systems. As you can see here, there's various different rooms that's going to be covering those different areas in cybersecurity. And the first room we're going to cover is going to be this cryptography basics, learn the basics of cryptography and symmetric encryption. So please note that a few of these rooms are only theory based, so we're going to cruise through those relatively quickly, I believe. And I think these bottom two here are the ones that have the practical application portion of this. So you got hashing stuff here, and you got John the Ripper, the basic stuff here. So let's go ahead and dive into this first room, this cryptography basics. Cryptography basics. Learn the basics of cryptography and symmetric encryption. Task 1 is introduction. Have you ever wondered how to prevent third parties from reading your messages? How can your app or web browser build a secure channel with a remote server? By secure, we mean that no one can read or alter the exchange data. Furthermore, we can be confident that we are connecting with the real server. Thanks to cryptography, these requirements are satisfied. Cryptography lays the foundation for our digital world, while networking protocols have made it possible for devices spread across the globe to communicate. Cryptography has made it possible to trust this communication. This room is the first of 3 introductory rooms about the cryptography. There are no learning prerequisites except basic abilities to use the Linux command line. If you are not sure, please consider joining the pre-security path. Cryptography basics, which is this room. The next one is going to be public key, cryptography basics, and then hashing basics. Learning objectives. Upon completing this room, you will learn the following: cryptography key terms, importance of cryptography, Caesar cipher, standard symmetric ciphers, common asymmetric ciphers, basic mathematics commonly used in cryptography. All right, so ready to learn. I'm ready to learn about cryptography. So let's take a look here, task number 2. And it says importance of cryptography. Cryptography's ultimate purpose is to ensure secure communication in the presence of adversaries. The term secure includes confidentiality and integrity of the communication data. Cryptography can be defined as the practice and study of techniques for secure communication and data protection, where we expect the presence of adversaries and third parties. In other words, these adversaries should not be able to disclose or alter the contents of the messages. Right, so what they're talking about here is like man-in-the-middle type of attacks, okay? Cryptography is used to protect confidentiality, integrity, and authenticity. In this age, you use cryptography daily, and you're almost certainly reading this over an encrypted connection, which you're talking about like HTTPS. Consider the following scenarios where you would use cryptography. When you log in to TryHackMe, your credentials are encrypted and sent to the server so that no one can retrieve them by snooping on your communication, right? So if they wanted to do that, they can do that with Wireshark, but since they don't have the keys to decrypt the data and see the information that's encrypted, well, they can't do that, right? So it's encrypted. When you connect over SSH or your SSH client and the server established an encrypted tunnel, so no one can eavesdrop on your session, right? That's opposed to Telnet, which is in cleartext, all right? So SSH is a lot more secure than Telnet, as we can see there. When you conduct online banking, your browser checks the remote service certificate to confirm that you are communicating with your bank's server and not an attacker's. When you download a file, how do you check if it was downloaded correctly? Cryptography provides a solution through hash functions to confirm that your file is identical to the original file. As you can see, you rarely have to interact directly with cryptography, but its solutions and implications are everywhere in the digital world. Consider the case where a company wants to handle credit card information and process related transactions. When handling credit cards, the company must follow and enforce the payment card industry data security standard, PCI DSS. In this case, PCI DSS ensures a minimum level of security to store, process, and transmit data related to credit cards. If you check the PCI DSS for large organizations, you will learn that the data should be encrypted both while being stored, which is at rest, and while being transmitted, which is in motion. In the same way that handling payment card details requires complying with the PCI DSS, handling medical records requires complying with their respective standards. Unlike credit cards, the standards for handling medical records vary from one country to another. Example laws and regulations that should be considered when handling medical records include HIPAA, which is Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, and HITECH, which is Health Information Technology for Economic and Clinical Health. In the USA, GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation in the EU, DPA, which is the Data Protection Act in the UK. Although the list is not exhaustive, it gives us an idea about legal requirements that healthcare providers should consider, depending on the country. These laws and regulations show that cryptography is a necessity that should be present, yet usually hidden from direct user access. Now, despite all these laws, regulations, compliance checks, and stuff like that, obviously compliance does not equal security, as we can see in the news about all these healthcare organizations getting hit with ransomware, getting data breaches all over the place. A quick Google search will show you a lot about what happens in that sector. What is the standard required for handling credit card information? Well, that's going to be PCI DSS, as we saw up here, all right? And they have to abide by this. If they don't, then they risk losing working with the credit card industry, and that can be very bad for businesses because a lot of people use credit cards to pay for things, right, or payment cards to pay for things. Task number 3, plaintext to ciphertext. Let's start with an illusion. Before introducing the key terms, we begin with the plaintext that we want to encrypt. The plaintext is the readable data. It can be anything from a simple hello, a cat photo, credit card information, or medical health records. For a cryptography perspective, these are all plaintext messages waiting to be encrypted. The plaintext is passed through the encryption function along with a proper key. The encryption function returns a ciphertext. The encryption function is part of the cipher. A cipher is an algorithm to convert a plaintext into a ciphertext and vice versa. You can see that sender plaintext encrypted with the key and the ciphertext. To recover the plaintext, we must pass the ciphertext along with the proper key via the decryption function, which would give us the original plaintext. This is shown in the illustration below. So ciphertext, and they want to decrypt it using key, and they got the plaintext going to the recipient so they can read it. We have just introduced several new terms, and we need to learn them to understand any text about cryptography. The terms are listed below. Plaintext is the original readable message or data before it's encrypted. It can be a document, an image, a multimedia file, or any other binary data. Ciphertext. It is a scrambled, unreadable version of the message after encryption. Ideally, we cannot get any information about the original plaintext except its approximate size. And we got the cipher, which is an algorithm or method to convert plaintext into ciphertext and back again. A cipher is usually developed by a mathematician. Key is a string of bits the cipher uses to encrypt or decrypt data. In general, the used cipher is public knowledge. However, the key must remain secret unless it is the public key in the asymmetric encryption. We will visit asymmetric encryption in a later test. That's right. Asymmetric encryption uses a public and a private key, whereas symmetric encryption uses the same key. All right, so remember that. Encryption is the process of converting plaintext into ciphertext using a cipher and a key. Unlike the key, the choice of the cipher is disclosed. Decryption is the reverse process of encryption, converting ciphertext back into plaintext using a cipher and a key. Although the cipher would be public knowledge, recovering the plaintext without knowledge of the key should be impossible and feasible. So what that means is that it could take a long time. Like you would be already 6 feet under by the time they even try to crack these keys is what they're talking about here when they say infeasible. It just takes too much time and resources, etc. All right, what do you call encrypted plain text? Well, that's going to be ciphertext, as we saw up here. It's a scrambled, unreadable version. Blah blah blah. All right. What do you call the process that returns the plain text? That's going to be decryption. Okay. It says right here, reverse process of encryption, and you can see that here. It says as it's decrypting the ciphertext. Okay. Next task 4, historical ciphers, and let's see what they're talking about here. Cryptography's history is long and dates back to ancient Egypt in 1900 BCE. However, one of the simplest historical ciphers is the Caesar cipher from the 1st century BCE. The idea is simple. Shift each letter by a certain number to encrypt the message. Consider the following example. Plain text. TryHackMe. Key is 3. Assume it is a shift of 3, or right shift of 3. Cipher is the Caesar cipher. We can easily figure out that T becomes W, R becomes U, Y becomes B, and so on. As you notice, once we reach Z, we start all over as shown in the figure below. Consequently, we get the ciphertext W, U, B, K, D, F, N, P, and H. You can see that here, the encryption process. All right, and the decryption is to decrypt, we need the following information. Ciphertext is W, U, B, K, D, F, N, P, H. The key is going to be 3, and the cipher is the Caesar cipher. So there's the decryption process here. For encryption, we shift to the right by 3. For decryption, we shift to the left by 3. and recover the original plaintext as illustrated in the image below. However, if someone gives you a ciphertext and tells you that it is encrypted using Caesar cipher, recovering the original text would be a trivial task as there are only 25 possible keys. The English alphabet is 26 letters, and by shifting by 26 will keep the letter unchanged, hence 25 valid keys for encryption with the Caesar cipher. The figure below shows how decryption will succeed by attempting all the possible keys. In this case, we recovered the original message with key equal 5. Consequently, by today's standards, where the cipher is publicly known, Caesar cipher is considered insecure. And you can see that information here, what they're talking about. Key 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right. You would come across many more historical ciphers in movies and cryptography books. Examples include the I don't know how you pronounce that, but this cipher from the 16th century, the Enigma machine from World War II, and the one-time pad from the Cold War. Question time. Knowing that XRPCTCRGNEI was encrypted using Caesar cipher, what is the original text? Remember, you can use what they're talking about, this information up here, or you can go to a website that will do it for you. So if you go ahead and click the hint here, it can take you to the site here, and let's just take a look at this one here, see what it looks like. So let's go ahead and plug this, get this ready to go. You could probably just ask ChatGPT as well. I mean, we have these AI bots these days. But anyway, so you can go ahead and plug this in here, and it should decrypt it. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Be sure to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Once you subscribe, be sure to hit that notification bell. All right, so you know every time I post a new video. As you can see here, most people that view my videos, view my channel, are not subscribed. Now, if you do subscribe, it will help me get into the YouTube algorithm so that we can continue to grow our glorious community here. As always, thank you all for taking the time to watch. Have a nice day and enjoy the video. All right, so if we look over here, we can see the decoded information here and everything else looks not human friendly, right? Except for this first one here. So I can encrypt, looks like that's going to be our answer here. Now I get back over here, and that should be what we're looking for, which I can encrypt. Task number 5, types of encryption. So let's take a look and see what they're talking about here. The two main categories of encryption are symmetric and asymmetric. Symmetric encryption. Symmetric encryption, also known as symmetric cryptography, uses the same key to encrypt and decrypt the data, as shown in the figure below. Keeping the key secret is a must. It is also called private key cryptography. Furthermore, communicating the key to the intended parties can be challenging as it requires a secure communication channel. Maintaining the secrecy of the key can be a significant challenge, especially if there are many recipients. The problem becomes more severe in the presence of a powerful adversary. Consider the threat of industrial espionage, for instance. And here's a infographic of what they're talking about here. Consider the simple case where you create a password-protected document to share it with your colleague. You can easily email the encrypted document to your colleague, but most likely you cannot email them the password. The reason is that anyone with access to their mailbox would access both the password-protected document and its password. Therefore, you need to think of a different way, i.e. channel, to share the password unless you think of a secure, accessible channel. One solution would be to meet in person and communicate the password to them. Right, or you can just call them, send them a text message or something like that to do the what it's called out of band. Okay, so you're sending an out of band communication password through that. Examples of symmetric encryption are DES, which is data encryption standard, 3DES, triple DES, and AES, which is advanced encryption standard. DES was adopted as a standard in 1977 and uses a 56-bit key. With the advancement in computing power in 1999, a DES key was successfully broken in less than 24 hours, motivating the shift to triple DES. Triple DES is DES applied 3 times. Consequently, the key size is 168 bits, though the effective security is 112 bits. Triple DES was more of an ad hoc solution when DES was no longer considered secure. Triple DES was deprecated in 2019 and should be replaced by AES. However, it may still be found in some legacy systems. AES was adopted as standard in 2001. Its key size can be 128, 192, and 256 bits. There are many more symmetric encryption ciphers and are used in various applications. However, they have not been adopted as standards. Asymmetric encryption. Unlike symmetric encryption, which uses the same key for encryption and decryption, asymmetric encryption uses a pair of keys, one encrypt and the other to decrypt, as shown in the illustration below. To protect confidentiality, asymmetric encryption or asymmetric cryptography encrypts the data using the public key, hence it is called public key cryptography. So you can see that here, Alice plaintext encryption with the Bob's public key ciphertext. Okay, ciphertext, which is the encrypted format, goes to get decrypted by Bob, which is using Bob's own private key to decrypt that information into plaintext so they can read it. Examples are RSA, Diffie-Hellman, and elliptic curve cryptography, which is ECC. The two keys involved in the process referred to as public key and a private key. Data encrypted with the public key can be decrypted with the private key. Your private key needs to be kept private, hence the name. Asymmetric encryption tends to be slower, and many asymmetric encryption ciphers use larger keys than symmetric encryption. For example, RSA uses 2048-bit, 3072-bit, and 4096-bit keys. 2048-bit is the recommended minimum key size. Diffie-Hellman also has a recommended minimum key size of 2048 bits, but uses 3072-bit and 4096-bit keys for enhanced security. On the other hand, ECC can achieve equivalent security with shorter keys. For example, with a 256-bit key, ECC provides a level of security comparable to a 3072-bit RSA key. Asymmetric encryption is based on a particular group of mathematical problems that are easy to compute in one direction, but extremely difficult to reverse. In this context, extremely difficult means practically infeasible. For example, we can rely on mathematical problem that would take a very long time, for example, millions of years to solve using today's technology. We will visit various asymmetric encryption ciphers in the next room. For now, the important thing to note is that asymmetric encryption provides you with a public key that you share with everyone and a private key that you keep guarded and secret. Summary of terms. Alice and Bob are fictional characters commonly used in cryptography examples to represent two parties trying to communicate securely. Symmetric encryption is a method in which the same key is used for both encryption and decryption. Consequently, this key must remain secure and never be disclosed to anyone except the intended party. Asymmetric encryption is a method that uses two different keys, a public key for encryption and a private key for decryption. All right, let's answer some questions down here. Should you trust DES or DES? Well, nay, because they said up here that it's deprecated, right, no longer in use. So there you go. Information is found up here. And the next question is, when was AES adopted as an encryption standard? Well, that's going to be 2001. As we can see here, it was adopted as a standard in 2001, right, to replace triple DES. And task number 6 is basic math. The building blocks of modern cryptography lie in mathematics. To demonstrate some basic algorithms, we can cover two mathematical operations that are used in various algorithms. You got the XOR operation and the modulo operation. XOR operation. XOR, short for exclusive OR, is a logical operation in binary arithmetic that plays a crucial role in various computing and cryptographic applications. In binary, XOR compares two bits and returns 1 if the bits are different and 0 if they are the same. Okay, as shown in the truth table below, the operation is often represented by the symbol, whatever that is, looks like a target sign, or the caret. And we can set information here. Okay, got A, B, and then A, and X or B. So you got 0, 0, which is going to be 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, and 0 is going to be 1, and then 1, 1 is going to be 0, as they explained up here. Okay, if this is the first time you work with a truth table, it is a table that shows all possible outcomes. The XOR truth table above states all four cases, which I just went over. Let's consider an example where we want to apply XOR in the binary numbers 1, 0, 1, 0, and 1, 1, 0, 0. In this case, we perform the operation bit by bit, which is 1 XOR 1 equals 0, 0 XOR 1 equals 1, 1 XOR 0 equals 1, and 0 XOR 0 equals 0, resulting in 0, 1, 1, 0. Okay, basically, you're going to put this one on top of this one, and then you can do the XOR and then figure out that it's going to come out to 0, 1, 1, 0. You may be wondering how XOR can play any role in cryptography. XOR has several interesting properties that make it useful in cryptography and error detection. One key property is that applying XOR to a value with itself results in 0, and applying XOR to any value with 0 leaves it unchanged. This means A XOR A equals 0 and A XOR 0 equals A for any binary value A. Additionally, XOR is commutative, i.e. A XOR B equals B XOR A, and it is associative, i.e. in parentheses A XOR B, and then XOR C equals A XOR in parentheses B XOR C. Let's see how we can make use of the above cryptography. We will demonstrate how XOR can be used as a basic symmetric encryption algorithm. Consider the binary values P and K, where P is the plaintext and K is the secret key. The ciphertext is C equals P XOR K. Now, if we know C and X and K can recover P, we start with C XOR K, and then in parentheses P XOR K, XOR K. But we know that P XOR K in parentheses XOR K equals P XOR K and K in parentheses because XOR is associated. Furthermore, we know that K XOR K equals 0. Consequently, in parentheses P XOR K, and then XOR K equals P XOR K XOR K in parentheses equals P XOR 0 equals P. In other words, XOR served as a simple symmetric encryption algorithm. In practice, it is more complicated as we need a secret key as the plaintext. Yeah, secret key as long as the plaintext. Module operation, another mathematical operation we often encounter in cryptography is the modulo operator, commonly written as the percentage sign or mod. The modulo operator x modulo y is the remainder when x is divided by y. In our daily life calculations, we focus more on the result of division than on the remainder. The remainder plays a significant role in cryptography. You need to work with large numbers when solving some cryptography exercises. If your calculator fails, we suggest you using a programming language such as Python. Python has a built-in int type that can handle integers or of arbitrary size and would automatically switch to larger types as needed. Many other programming languages have dedicated libraries for big integers. If you prefer to do your math online, consider Wolfram Alpha. Or you can just use Google or an AI chatbot. Let's consider a few examples. 25 modulo 5 equals 0 because 25 divided by 5 is 5 with the remainder of 0, i.e. 25 equals 5 times 5 plus 0. 23 divided by, or sorry, modulo 6 equals 5 because 23 divided by 6 is 3 with the remainder of 5, i.e. 23 equals 3 times 6 plus 5. 23 mod 7 equals 2 because 23 divided by 7 is 3 with a remainder of 2, i.e. 23 equals 3 times 7 plus 2. An important thing to remember about modulo is that it's not reversible. If we are given the equation x modulo 5 equals 4, infinite values of x would satisfy this equation. The modulo operation always returns a non-negative result, less than the divisor. This means that for an integer a and positive integer 9, the result of a modulo n will always be in the range 0 to n minus 1. All right, it's quite a lot to take in there, but remember, this is stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Most likely, you're not going to be doing this stuff by hand punching this, doing stuff with calculators. More than likely in your career, unless you're going to be doing some stuff heavily involved in cryptography in that area. But let's go ahead and take a look at these questions. What is 1001 XOR 1010? Okay. Well, as we saw up there with XOR, okay, it's going to be 0011. So if you have 1001 above this one or below, you can say that 1 and 1 is going to be 0, and then 0, 0 is going to be 0, and then 0 and 1 is going to be 1 because you're XORing, okay? And then 1 and 0 is going to be 1. What is 118613842 modulo 9091? Well, that's going to be 65, okay? So you plug that into a calculator, you can come out with that, all right? Or you can just do our old friend Google here. All right, so let's go ahead and try that in Google. See what comes up here. There you go. And let's go ahead and take a look here. What's 60 modulo 12? So you're gonna get that remainder is gonna be 0. Okay. So I'm pretty sure you can just do the same thing here. Search in Google. There you go. And that wraps up that task. Task number 7, summary. So we're going to close out here. In this room, we learned about the importance of cryptography and some of the problems that it solves. We also introduced symmetric and asymmetric encryption ciphers. Finally, we explained the XOR and modulo operations. In the next room, public key cryptography basics, we will visit various asymmetric crypto systems and see how they solve the problems we face in the digital world. Before proceeding, next room, make sure you have taken note of all the key terms and concepts introduced in this room. Okay, hopefully you all enjoyed this video, found it educational, found it value. If you did, hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Comment below your thoughts and opinions on the information shared in the video. As I said, we're going to cruise through some of these cryptography rooms here because a lot of it's just theory based, and I know we like the practical stuff over here, the hands-on stuff. All right, as always, thank you all for taking time to watch my video. Have a nice day, and I will see you next time.